It's your man 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Today we got another video dropping. It's the morning time. You know, I try to drop it in the mornings before I start my day. Do something creative, do something fun. But this is a topic that I've been kind of leaning into for a little bit. Is Jalen Duren ready for center stage? I don't know. I don't know. I want to dive into that in today's video. But before I do, smash that like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. It's a little thing, but it's a big thing for the channel. I truly appreciate all your love and support. And one of the biggest things you can do to show your love and support, smash the like button. Why not? You're already here, right? But here's the thing. Jalen Duren to me is an incredible talent. I've liked his talent since high school. Um, I used to watch him going up against Chet Holmgren. Uh, I watched him kind of cakewalk his way through high school. He was a man child, right? Far more chiseled, athletic, agile, skilled than pretty much everybody he was going to face, right? And so he pretty much dominated on that high school circuit. And then he went to the University of Memphis, playing for Penny Hardaway. Um, I don't want to say it was an underwhelming season. I think it was a fairly good season for a freshman. Um, showed some flashes. Showed some flashes. And I was kind of excited about him coming out into the NBA, especially because of his age. He was young. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't a polished prospect by any means. You think about somebody like a Ryan Kalkbrenner, right? Now, actually, this is actually a really good center class this past draft. Um, Young Hansen. You got Niederhauser over with the Clippers. You got Johan Beringer for the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's just a lot of really good big men centers coming in, whether it's Danny Wolf with the Nets, a lot of talent. All I say is Jalen Duren didn't really come in nearly as refined as most of these guys. And when I say refined, I don't mean just skill. I also mean like mindset, right? He wasn't locked in. But, if I was 19 years old coming to the NBA, right? 6'10, 6'11, 270 pounds of muscle, right? I'd probably be distracted by everything that comes with being a young millionaire in Detroit, right? And so the progression, the steps, the leaps that I think we were all kind of hoping, projecting from his rookie season never really kind of came at the ascension rate that we all had hoped. Even last season, if I'm honest with y'all, I might have been along with what's his name, my man, I forget his name, another Detroit Pistons content producer, but him and I were the only ones really kind of saying Jalen Duren is still legit. Right? Like early in the season last year, everybody was out on him, trade him, get him out of here. We should have grabbed Walker Kessler. We could have grabbed the other big man over in Portland, Donovan Clingan. Everybody wanted him out. Everybody wanted Duren out. And I was like, yo, he's young. He's only 21. You know what I'm saying? Barely able to get a drink on his own. It's okay that he's not locked in yet. Give him time. Give him time. Going between Dwayne Casey, Monty Williams, right? Then JB Bickerstaff. Okay, it's a lot of transition. It's a lot of transition. 4 different coaches in 4 different years if you count Penny Hardaway in Memphis. And then the second half of the season came. And this was an interesting turning point because I said to a lot of guys, like, one of the biggest things that is working against Jalen Duren is the lazy plays. And I'm going to get into that more in this video. The lazy plays. The lazy plays where he's just unfocused, where he is oblivious to the impact that he has in the game, how much his team really needs him to perform and show up. And he does little dumb things. Maybe he gets a shot blocked, reaches around, stupid foul, 90 feet from the basket. Maybe it's a moving screen when you already got 2 fouls and it's the first quarter. Maybe it's over the back and it's the fourth quarter and you got 4 fouls. Maybe it's something that you would think to yourself, why in the world would you do that? Why? And it reminds me kind of Jaren Jackson Jr. when he first came into the NBA, playing for Memphis out of Michigan State. Jaren Jackson, had all this agility, potential, skill, timing, hand-eye coordination. He was just, he had a lot of promise, but he was always in foul trouble. But in the second half of last season, unfortunately, coinciding with Ivy's injury, but also coinciding with the insertion of Asar Thompson, I said, I think this is going to be a turning point for Jalen Duren because one of the biggest things that was working against him is that he's a slower processing defensive center. Slower processing. I'm not going to say low basketball IQ. I'm going to say reading the game on the defensive end. He's always just that far behind the play. Just that far outside of being in position. Just right behind the play. Doesn't quite get there in time. And so as a result, he gets the blocking foul. He gets the reach in. He gets the out of place, push, shove, falling over. He was just a foul magnet. But with Asar Thompson, I said to myself, I said his level of defensive energy and ability to cover space and cover for people who are out of position, I think is going to buy Jalen Duren that extra second he needs to be in the right position, to be exactly where he's supposed to be according to your scheme, to make sure that he's there for the block, maintaining his verticality, instead of late and ends up getting the blocking foul because he's knocking someone over. Being able to trail a play, rotate in a play, not believing he has to make the defensive play in order to get a stop. Instead, there's somebody else already there, Asar Thompson. Maybe Asar is containing on the perimeter. Maybe he's digging down on a drive. Maybe he's hedging and recovering, getting a deflection. Now, all of a sudden, Jalen Duren doesn't have to be the center of our defense. And as a result, he's able to stay out of foul trouble. I said that little bit of difference might be the difference between him with 2 fouls at the end of the first or 3 at the end of the second, going into the fourth with 4 or 5 fouls, versus maybe going into the second half with only 1 or 2. And it may not seem like a big difference, but when you have, as a coaching staff, already petitioned out, let's say, 6 to 8 minutes each quarter for Jalen Duren, right? That's 24 to 32 minutes. But he's only playing 4 to 5. And now you have to slide those minutes over to Isaiah Stewart at the center position, which means that you probably have less flexibility to maybe play Stu at the 4 if you wanted to do that, or to make sure that you have the right rotations in there to have the right actions you're looking for, whether it's pick and rolls with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, whether it's someone who can potentially attack his mismatch and to be able to score on the interior and put pressure on the defense. It slows down your schemes. It impedes your offensive system when you can't depend upon the big man who has the promise to potentially be a game changer for you. And that's where we kind of land today. I think in preseason, we saw a flash of dominance. And not your stereotypical dominance where it's someone who has the ball in their hands the whole time and he's saying, get out the way, I'm going to make the play. But more so the type of dominance where his athleticism, his timing, his coordination, his agility allows him to be in the right place at the right time constantly to take advantage of all the opportunities that playing with a superstar like Cade Cunningham or other guys who are willing to look for him provides. Jalen Duren showed he has the ability to take over games, whether the ball starts with him, but just knowing it's probably always going to end with him. Pick and rolls, dribble handoffs, face up attacks, getting to the free throw line, post moves, getting out in transition, getting deflections and steals, bringing the ball up the full length of the court. All these ways he's contributing offensively. Ends up with 20 points in only maybe 24 minutes. And you begin to think to yourself, like, why isn't that replicable? Why isn't that something he should be able to do night in and night out? Jalen Duren has the type of potential that even if he doesn't develop that 18-foot jumper to 3-point jumper that we saw him practicing on, that he's been practicing, right? Probably should have had more opportunities to utilize that jumper. He probably would have been much further along. But it's to say that whether or not he gets that 15 to 18 footer or hits corner threes, he's still someone that we're looking at should be able to get you close to 20 points a game if he's locked in. And this is kind of the premise of this video. Is Jalen Duren ready for center stage? Is he ready for center stage? Right now, Jalen Ivey is out. I have him out for the rest of this calendar year. I don't expect to see him before 2026, right? Another 4 weeks before his reevaluation. At that point, if everything has gone right and gone well, he will slowly be ramped up to competitive play. Slowly because they want to make sure there's no more setbacks. Slowly because he's in a contract year and can't afford another physical injury setback. And this team is going to have to acclimate him to whatever it is that this team is doing before he's able to get back. He's not just going to be thrown into the fire. It's not going to work if he's just thrown into the fire. So I fully expect that to be a slow ramp up. And we're really not going to see him until January. With Ivy out, there's a void. There's a clear void. The guy that I thought was going to be Captain America next to Cade Cunningham's Iron Man, right, is gone. Is gone. And so now we're looking at who's going to be Robin to Cade's Batman. I don't think Jalen Duren is ready to be a co-star, like a Hulk. Eventually, I think he can get there. But he's going to have to, figure some things out. But can he be a Robin? Someone who plays alongside of the superstar and helps make the game easier. Can Jalen Duren be someone who makes the game easier for their superstar? And that's something that I think Jalen Duren can do if he's ready. And when I say ready, I mean mentally ready. The mindset of preparation, the mindset of taking care of your body, right? Soon as you come out the game and it's over, you're icing your knees. You're making sure you get into the training staff. You're making sure that you're stretching. You're making sure that you're communicating with your coaches, how your body's feeling. You're eating the right things. We all know Cade was on that vegan plant-based life. That's why he's been in good shape, right? Stays in good shape. Can Jalen Duren have a similar mindset? That I understand my team needs me, my superstar needs me, right? I'm the main vertical lob threat. I'm the guy that attracts a lot of attention off that pick and roll, right? That dribble handoff, I can set a monster screen. I have the ability to face up and score in a way that not too many other people on this team do, especially with Ivy out. Is he ready to be locked in? That's the question I have. I don't know too many people in the chat. Frank Nitty in the chat says that he's not. I'm somewhere vacillating in the middle. I think Jalen Duren is somewhat excited about this year, right? He always says in his interviews, he follows Cade throughout the offseason. I want to make sure our chemistry is tight. And that's smart. Like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? And at the same time, I think we need him to be more. We need him to be more than just a following Robin to a Batman. There's going to be times where Cade is not going to be in the game, and we need Jalen Duren to still be an offensive focal point. Can he make the right plays? Can he put pressure on the defense? Can he navigate what's going on around him? Make sure that he is where he's supposed to be, not making the silly plays, not getting into foul trouble, not forcing things, but making sure that he is consistently aggressive. And here's the thing. Being an offensive focal point doesn't mean that you're always shooting the ball. It just means that you are consistently aggressive in a way that forces the defense to be responsive to your position on the court. This is essential because there's other guys who are play finishers. Asar Thompson, Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert even, Dennis Jenkins, Tobias Harris, Isaiah Stewart. These are guys who are not necessarily best in the position of having to create offense, having to create shot opportunities. You want to find these guys cutting off the ball, coming off a screen, fading to the corner, getting open off of a double team, drawing that secondary help defender. These are the guys who are going to play off of someone. And without Ivy being able to create his own shot and have that gravity on the offensive end, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to step into that role. Somebody has to be willing to miss shots. To miss shots. Not everybody's willing to miss shots. I mean, you got thousands of people in the stands. You're on national television. And sometimes people shrink. Sometimes people get small. Sometimes people worry about what it looks like and, oh man, I got my shot blocked. And they stop being aggressive. That's not a co-star. That's not a Robin. You're going to get blocked because you're going to shoot more. You're going to lose the ball because you're going to be attacking more. And you have to take it upon yourself to be locked in. You know, when I look at Jalen Duren's game, I see shades of Chris Webber. I really do. Maybe a little bit of DeMarcus Cousins. And at his baseline, offensively, he could definitely be Alonzo Mourning. But these guys were all locked in, especially on the offensive end. They were locked in. They knew their role on the team. And for most of them, they were the primary player on their team, except for Alonzo Mourning, right? He was a primary option, but he's more of like a secondary, right? He played alongside Larry Johnson and Muggsy Bogues and those guys in Charlotte. And then he had times in the Miami Heat, but he had Tim Hardaway Jr., Dan Marley, Fashawn Leonard, right? He had a supporting cast. And then later on, D Wade and Shaq and Antoine Walker, Gary Payton, Jason Williams, not Jay Will, Jason Williams, right? Like he always had a supporting cast, but he was never remiss to know what his role was to get buckets on the offensive end. He was locked in. And so he was always an active participant of the offense, of the system. Sometimes Jalen Duren can fade. He can disappear. There's times where I would see him at the end of a game, shot 2 for 3, 2 for 4 from the field. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? If you play 25 to 30 minutes, shoot, Jalen Duren, if you play 20 minutes, you should have at least 6 to 8 shots. You should be taking 2 shots at least every quarter. At least, bare minimum. But with Ivy out, the reality is we probably need you to take closer to 3 to 4 shots every quarter. I don't care if it's a jumper, jump hook, post up, face up, get to the free throw line, midi, pull up, running hook. I don't care what it is. You should be getting up 3 to 4 shots every single quarter for this team. We need Jalen Duren to be aggressive, consistently, locked in, looking at the game every single game and saying, I'm eating up that matchup. This guy can't guard me. I have to put pressure on the defense, and it doesn't mean you always have to shoot. It just always means you have to be aggressive. You have to put pressure on the defense because who else is going to do it outside of Cade? Asar's not going to do it. He gets lost as soon as he attacks and gets some contact. Ron Holland's traveling before he even puts the ball down on the floor. Dennis Jenkins is looking to give the ball to someone else. Tobias Harris, well, he's Tobias Harris. Isaiah Stewart is Isaiah Stewart. These aren't knocks. It's just an acknowledgement of who these guys are. Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert. These guys are not built to be a focal point of an offense, at least yet. Looking at Ron Holland, at least yet. Somebody's got to do it. And the question is Jalen Duren ready? Because this team needs him to. Hey, you know what? Appreciate all y'all joining me for this video. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. I'm going to try to go live as much as possible in the mornings. If you're here, uh, have an amazing day. Have an amazing day. The reality is, sometimes we want to judge our day by what takes place. But the reality is also that there's always somebody else who's struggling more, doing worse, experiencing something that we would never want to experience. We think about people in the Congo, um, people around the world dealing with depression, a lack of safety, food, water. So we all have something to be grateful for. So remember today, no matter what's going on, have gratitude, appreciate what you have, and enjoy your day. Live, laugh, love, and make the most of it. We all have something to be grateful for. I'm holla at y'all next time. Peace.